After years of hard work, I finally bought myself my dream car, a Mustang. But one day, my parents sat me down and said my golden child brother had earned it more than I did, and I should hand it over. I let them finish talking. Then gave them news they never saw coming. The title was in my name, and the car was already gone, with me. My name is Sarah, and I am 28. For as far back as I can recall, it has always been me, and then Ethan. Ethan, my younger sibling, was the central figure around whom our household revolved. If you were to search for favored child in a dictionary, I am convinced you would discover his photograph there, likely retouched and definitely radiating that effortlessly captivating smile of his. Growing up in our residence felt like being in a continuous, mild television comedy, where Ethan was the endlessly endearing, slightly mischievous, yet ultimately cherished lead, and I was, well, I suppose I was the background laughter, consistently present, reacting to his brilliance, his escapades, his general Ethanness. This wasn't some overt, theatrical malevolence from my parents. It was more subtle, more insidious. It was a persistent, gentle tipping of the scales in his favor. For instance, if Ethan received a B on an examination, it would be, "Oh, Ethan, you're so imaginative. Academia just isn't your forte, but you're brilliant in other ways." If I aced the identical test, "Good work, Sarah, we always knew you were clever." End of discussion. No grand celebration, no special meal, no boasting to relatives, just an expectation. At Christmas, Ethan's mound of gifts would cascade from beneath the tree, a vibrant, disorderly peak of wrapping paper and ribbons. My gifts were neatly arranged, respectable, and undeniably practical. One year, he received a cutting-edge gaming console, the one he had been complaining about for months. I received socks. Pleasant socks, I admit, merino wool, apparently. My mother beamed. "See, Sarah, practical. You'll require these." I recall gazing at those socks, the rough wool symbolizing my entire upbringing. I needed them, certainly, just as I needed to be quiet when Ethan was practicing his briefly pursued and swiftly abandoned saxophone, just as I needed to comprehend when my birthday gathering was rescheduled because it coincided with Ethan's soccer competition. It wasn't solely about presents, of course. It was about chances. Ethan desired to try out for the baseball squad, private coaching, top-tier equipment, Dad dedicating hours in the yard hitting pop flies. I wished to join the debate society. "That's nice, dear, but ensure it doesn't hinder your academic performance." No club fees covered, no assistance with research, just a pat on the head and the vague assumption that I would somehow manage it independently. Discipline? Forget it. Ethan could talk his way out of anything. He would shatter a lamp playing indoor hockey. Boys will be boys, he didn't mean to. I would accidentally spill juice on the tablecloth. "Sarah, you're so clumsy, be more careful." Once in middle school, Ethan was actually suspended for, well, let's just say it involved fireworks, school property, and a surprisingly flammable shrub. My parents were mortified, but primarily for him. Poor Ethan, he just got carried away. This will be a valuable lesson for him. I, conversely, once received detention for being disruptive in class. Disruptive meaning I had corrected the instructor on a minor historical detail. My parents' response: disappointment, shame. "Sarah, why can't you simply behave yourself?" It wasn't that they disliked me, I don't believe. It was more as if they didn't truly perceive me. I was simply present, part of the furnishings, perhaps useful, dependable furnishings that didn't demand much consideration. Ethan, however, he was captivating, he was intriguing, he was their endeavor, their masterpiece, the entity they invested all their vitality and focus into. And I was merely background noise in the melody of Ethan's existence. By the time I reached high school, I had ceased requesting things, ceased anticipating fairness, learned to simply exist quietly on the periphery of their affection. I immersed myself in my academics, secured a part-time position at the local diner, and began accumulating every coin. Not for anything specific initially, just saving, like constructing a barrier around myself, brick by laborious brick, composed of crumpled currency and lukewarm gratuities. Then, when I was 16, I spotted her, a '67 Mustang Fastback, sitting abandoned in a dusty corner of a pre-owned vehicle lot. Faded paint, rust spots emerging on her fenders, interior ripped and torn as if she had battled a particularly aggressive badger. She was a wreck, but beneath all that neglect, I could discern it, the contours, the promise, the raw, untamed force waiting to be unleashed. It felt like gazing into a reflection. I emptied my savings account, negotiated with the lot proprietor until he likely regretted ever entering the used car trade, and drove her home, or rather, limped her home. She coughed, sputtered, and threatened to stall every 5 minutes, but she was mine. My parents? They stared at it, parked in our driveway like an injured creature. "What is that, Sarah?" my mother inquired, wrinkling her nose. "A car," I replied, keys jingling in my hand, a small, defiant thrill bubbling within me. My car. That Mustang became my preoccupation, my refuge. Every spare moment, every spare dollar went into her. I devoured repair manuals, frequented online communities, learned to weld from internet videos. I spent hours sanding, priming, painting, adjusting, swearing, and occasionally, triumphantly repairing something. The garage became my territory, filled with the aroma of oil, fuel, and potential. Over the subsequent few years, that corroded shell gradually, painstakingly transformed. The faded paint yielded to a gleaming coat of deep midnight blue. The shredded interior was replaced with supple black leather. The wheezing engine roared back to life, a deep rumble that resonated through my bones each time I turned the ignition. The Mustang was no longer merely a vehicle, it was me, made tangible. It was the embodiment of every late night, every scraped knuckle, every challenge resolved, every hurdle surmounted. It was undeniable, concrete evidence that I could create something beautiful, something powerful, something that belonged to me, even if no one else in my family seemed to acknowledge or care. And they didn't. Not truly. They would occasionally glance at it, parked in the driveway, perhaps offer a vague remark about that car project I was always working on, but they never genuinely perceived it, never saw what it symbolized, never saw me. Ethan saw it. He observed the gleaming finish, heard the engine's growl, detected the faint, enticing aroma of aged leather and gasoline that clung to my attire like a second skin. And he desired it, naturally. "Cool car, Sarah," he remarked one day, leaning against the fender, the casual envy in his tone so thick you could spread it on bread. "Are you going to, sell it or something?" "Nope," I responded, wiping grease from my hands with a cloth. "It's mine." He scoffed, that familiar, dismissive little chuckle that always made my jaw clench. "Yeah, but what are you going to do with it?" "It's just a car. I could actually, use it for things." He gestured vaguely, encompassing all the significance that Ethan, the extraordinary favored child, was surely destined for. I simply shrugged, turned back to the engine, and pretended he wasn't there. But the seed was sown, the seed of entitlement, of expectation, of Ethan deserves. And it would, of course, eventually blossom into a fully poisonous bloom. It began innocently enough: Sunday supper, the weekly family custom, a meticulously orchestrated display of familial harmony, always held at our residence. My mother's pot roast, perfectly browned and submerged in gravy. My father's declarations on current affairs, delivered with the solemnity of a high court justice. Ethan's captivating anecdotes about his latest triumphs, real or imagined. And me? Well, I was there to set the table, clear the dishes, and occasionally nod politely when someone recalled to direct a question my way. That Sunday, however, the narrative shifted slightly. My father cleared his throat, a sound that typically preceded some momentous paternal wisdom. "So, Ethan," he commenced, beaming at my brother with that distinct, Ethan-exclusive brand of parental pride. "Big news about the position, right?" Ethan grinned, basking in the attention. "Yeah, man, it's fantastic. Just received the official offer today. Analyst role at Miller Tech, starting next month." "Miller Tech!" my mother exclaimed, clapping her hands together, as if Ethan had personally cured a disease. That's incredible, darling. We're so proud of you." They launched into a flurry of congratulations, back pats, and effusive praise. I offered a quiet, "Congrats, Ethan," from my spot at the table, which was largely disregarded, standard procedure. Then the discussion took a turn. My father, still radiating pride, leaned forward, his voice adopting a slightly more pointed tone. "Of course," he stated, "you'll require a dependable vehicle for commuting. Miller Tech is quite a drive, isn't it?" "Yeah, about 40 minutes each way," Ethan confirmed, nodding thoughtfully. "Kind of a pain, actually. My bicycle isn't going to suffice." "Well," my mother interjected, glancing in my direction with a little too much casualness. "Sarah has that Mustang, doesn't she?" My fork clattered against my plate. I looked up, a sudden tightness forming in my stomach. "Yeah," I said slowly, carefully. "I do. It's quite a robust vehicle, right?" My father continued, his gaze now fixed on me with an unsettling intensity. "Reliable. I mean, you've invested a lot of effort into it." "It's reliable for me," I stated, my voice tensing. I knew where this was headed. I just knew it. My mother smiled a tight, strained little smile that never reached her eyes. "Well, darling, you know, family assists family. And Ethan, he's just beginning. That job at Miller Tech is a tremendous opportunity for him, but a lengthy commute. It's difficult without a trustworthy car." "Are you suggesting?" I began, the knot in my stomach twisting tighter, colder. "We're just considering." My father interrupted, his voice adopting that familiar, reasonable tone he employed when he was about to be utterly unreasonable. "Wouldn't it be beneficial if Ethan used your Mustang? Just, you know, until he gets established, acquires his own vehicle?" I stared at them, my mind momentarily blank, attempting to comprehend the sheer, audacious insolence of their proposition. Give Ethan my Mustang? The Mustang I had bled for, literally and figuratively? The Mustang that was more a part of me than half the genetic material I shared with these individuals? "No," I asserted, the word emerging sharper, louder than I intended. "No, it wouldn't be beneficial. It wouldn't be happening." Silence descended upon the dining room, thick and heavy as the gravy congealing on our plates. My parents blinked at me, genuinely stunned. Ethan actually scoffed. "Seriously, Sarah?" he said, rolling his eyes. "It's just a car. And I kind of need it, you know, for my job." He emphasized job, as if it were some Nobel Prize-winning research position, not an entry-level analyst role his uncle had pulled strings to secure for him. "It's my car, Ethan," I reiterated, my voice still tight, still too loud. "And I use it to, you know, get to my job and, do things." I even incorporated his own vague, dismissive things. For good measure. My father's expression began to darken, the pleasant Sunday dinner facade rapidly crumbling. "Sarah," he stated, his voice adopting that familiar disappointed edge, "don't be selfish. Your brother requires this. It's crucial for his profession. And my car is crucial to me." I retorted, the words finally beginning to flow, a dam breaking after years of restraint. "It's not just a car, it's mine. I built it. I paid for it. It's not some hand-me-down you two purchased for me. It's mine." My mother sighed, a lengthy, dramatic, long-suffering sigh that was clearly intended to induce guilt and submission. "Sarah, truly, must you be so difficult? We're merely asking you to assist your brother. Is that too much to request? Family helps family. Family helps Ethan." I corrected, the bitterness finally surfacing. "That's what you mean, right? Family goes to great lengths and sacrifices everything for Ethan, while Sarah just gets socks." The silence returned, even thicker now, crackling with unspoken accusations and years of simmering resentment. Ethan was gaping at me, genuinely offended. My mother's face had hardened into that familiar disappointed mask. My father's face was thunderous. "Sarah," he stated, his voice low, dangerous. "That's enough. We are attempting to be reasonable here, but you're being uncooperative." "Uncooperative?" I laughed, a short, sharp, humorless sound. I'm being uncooperative because I don't want to give my brother my car? The car I built with my own 2 hands? The car you've never even acknowledged as anything other than that project? Don't be dramatic, Sarah. My mother snapped, her voice sharp now. It's just temporary until Ethan gets his own car. We're not asking you to give it away permanently. Oh, temporary? I echoed, the sarcasm dripping from my voice, like when Ethan temporarily borrowed my bicycle in high school and returned it with a bent frame and a missing wheel, or when he temporarily used my laptop for a school assignment and somehow managed to download every virus known to humanity. Ethan spluttered, indignant. Hey, those were accidents. Accidents that I always ended up paying for. I pointed out, my voice rising. Accidents that never seemed to happen to your possessions, Ethan. Funny that. Sarah, that's enough. My father roared, finally losing his carefully constructed facade of reasonableness. He slammed his fist on the table, making the cutlery jump. You will not speak to your mother and brother like that. You are being selfish, ungrateful, and frankly, quite unpleasant. Unpleasant? I repeated, the word lingering in the air like an indictment. Yeah, maybe I am. Maybe I'm done being pleasant. Maybe I'm done being invisible. Maybe I'm done being the dutiful daughter who just quietly accepts being treated like I don't matter. I pushed back my chair, the legs scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. I stood up, feeling taller than I was, adrenaline surging through me, a strange blend of fury and liberation. For the first time in my existence, I was truly confronting them, truly refusing to fulfill the assigned role. I'm not giving Ethan my Mustang, I declared, my voice surprisingly steady now, even though my hands were trembling. Not now, not ever. Find him another vehicle, or better yet, perhaps he should learn to ride the bus, build character. And then, before anyone could utter another word, before the inevitable barrage of accusations and guilt trips could fully erupt, I turned and departed, out of the dining room, out of the house, and into the cool, crisp evening air. The rumble of my Mustang's engine, a defiant roar as I reversed out of the driveway and finally left them behind. The quiet in my Mustang was profound, but it wasn't the oppressive, stifling silence of my parents' dining room. This was a different kind of stillness, a fresh start. The engines hum, the tires whisper on the asphalt. It was almost serene. I drove for hours, not truly heading anywhere, just driving, allowing the road to unfold before me, the wind whipping through the open windows, carrying away the echoes of my parents' voices, Ethan's entitled whine, the years of unspoken resentment that had finally, spectacularly erupted. I ended up at the shore, parked overlooking the dark, churning ocean, the waves crashing against the coastline like a restless pulse. I sat there for a long time, simply gazing out at the horizon, the vast, indifferent expanse of water a strangely comforting presence. They had telephoned, of course. My phone had vibrated ceaselessly in my pocket, a frantic electronic swarm of missed calls and angry messages. I disregarded them all. Let them stew. Let them finally, for once, face the repercussions of their actions, their decisions, their decades-long campaign of preferential treatment. When I finally arrived home to my own small, blessedly tranquil apartment, I checked my phone. Dozens of messages, primarily from my mother, guilt trips, emotional manipulation, accusations of selfishness, of harming Ethan, of fracturing the family. A few from my father, angrier, more demanding. And one solitary text from Ethan. Seriously, Sarah, grow up. I deleted them all, every single one. Then I powered off my phone, prepared myself a cup of tea, and sat on my balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below, the distant hum of traffic a soothing counterpoint to the quiet within my own four walls. It was surprisingly all right. More than all right. It was liberating. Exhausting, emotionally draining, definitely, but also freeing, as if I had finally shed a layer of skin I hadn't even realized I was wearing, a heavy, suffocating coating of expectation and obligation. The next few days were intriguing. My parents attempted a different strategy. The guilt trips transformed into wounded bewilderment. My mother called, her voice trembling, laced with a practiced air of fragility. Sarah, darling, we're just so perplexed. We don't comprehend why you're acting this way. We merely wish to assist Ethan. Is that so wrong? Mom, I stated, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. You've assisted Ethan his entire life, at my expense. And you know what? I'm done subsidizing his requirements with my sacrifices. But family, Sarah, she wailed, the wounded axe slipping, revealing the steel underneath. We're family. We're supposed to support each other. Support, yes, I responded. Exploit, no. And let's be honest, Mom, this isn't about support. This is about entitlement. Ethan expects to receive what he desires, and you and Dad expect to provide it to him, simply because he's Ethan. She sputtered, indignant. That's not true. We love you both equally. Really? I inquired, raising an eyebrow, even though she couldn't see me through the phone. Could have fooled me. You know, Mom, I'm not foolish. I've witnessed it my whole life. The way you gaze at him, the way you converse about him, the way you excuse everything he does. And then there's me, always held to a different standard, always less than. Silence. A long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. Then, how can you say that, Sarah, after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? I repeated, the bitterness rising again, hot and sharp in my throat. You mean like providing the absolute minimum of sustenance, attire, and shelter while lavishing Ethan with everything he ever whimpered for? Yeah, Mom, thanks. You truly surpassed yourselves. She hung up on me, slammed the phone down so forcefully I could practically hear the plastic crackle through the receiver. Fine by me. The less I had to endure their meticulously crafted justifications, their pathetic attempts at emotional manipulation, the better. My father attempted a different approach. Hours later, he appeared at my apartment unannounced, looming on my doorstep like a disapproving monument. He appeared weary, deflated almost. The usual booming authority in his voice was subdued, replaced by a tired sort of plea. Sarah, he stated, stepping inside when I reluctantly opened the door. He glanced around my small living room,